Hey guys, welcome back to the Sal Pitera channel, and today we are going to talk about the Norwegian Jade cruise ship and what they did to their passengers on its Friday, November 16th, 10-day sailing to Barbados, St. Kitts, and St. Lucia, and what happened, what should have happened, and what the future holds for the next cruise and the latest news regarding this sailing. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about another site that we found, another channel here on YouTube called Cruise Fever. It's a couple of brothers who've made a great channel with lots of awesome cruise information. I'm going to put a link to their channel down below. Cruise Fever was nice enough to let us use some of their graphics in our opening montage, and I just wanted to say thank you and give them a big shout out. Make sure you check out their channel. Again, I'm going to put a link to them down in the comments below. Also, before we go on and talk about the Jade, we have announced, or we're announcing right now rather, that we are going to be going on a Sal Pitera channel group cruise. It's going to be mid-November 2019. I'll be announcing the details, the itinerary, the ship on one of our next videos. So put that time down in your camera. It's going to be mid-November next year, and it is going to be a fantastic time. On board, we're going to have free cocktail parties. We're going to have some seminars. You'll get to meet me and sail with me, have dinner with me. We're going to just have a great time, even some seminars on how to make your own YouTube channel if you're interested. So again, that's going to be mid-November next year. So put that space in your calendar, and we'll have details on one of our future videos in the next couple of weeks. Now, we're going to talk about the Norwegian Jade, what happened, what they did, what they should have done, and what's going on with the latest news and their next sailing right after this. Hey guys, welcome back. Before we talk about the Norwegian Jade, as always, if you're new to our channel and you like hearing tips and tricks about cruising, and soon it's going to be other travel beside cruising, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification, and we'll keep you up to date regarding all of our latest videos, and YouTube will send you those notifications. Now, let's talk about the Norwegian Jade and their sailing a week ago, Friday, November 16th. They were on a 10-day sailing, which was going to stop at San Juan, Puerto Rico, Barbados, St. Kitts, and St. Lucia. And what happened to them is just an absolute nightmare. Now, before we talk about that, for you new cruisers, let me let you know that situations like what we're about to talk about are very rare. Most likely, nothing like this is ever going to happen to you on board a cruise ship. I've been on lots and lots and lots of cruises, and I've only really had one incident, which I'm going to tell you about during this video, because I'm going to compare what happened with the Jade between what happened to me on Carnival and explain to you the difference in what I think how Carnival handled it and how the Jade handled the situation. So let's talk about the sailing. The Jade was sailing into their very first port, into San Juan, Puerto Rico, and they enjoyed their great day in town. San Juan is a beautiful city. But when they boarded back on board the ship, they got the announcement from the captain. The ship was having some propulsion and engine issues. And because of that, they were literally just going to cancel the rest of the cruise. Now, how does this work when you're already on a Caribbean island, and there's really no way out a couple days before Thanksgiving? Well, the captain let them know that everybody would have to disembark the ship Tuesday morning the following day, of which Carnival was going to bus them to the San Juan Convention Center, and then from there, once they've organized everybody, they were going to bus them to the airport. Carnival also announced and sent this letter to all of the passengers on board the ship, which I'll read to you in a moment, that they were going to charter flights to fly people back to Miami. But from there, they were on their own. Also, if you were able to get your own flights, which, let's face it, are next to impossible the day before Thanksgiving, Norwegian would pay $650 of that flight, which a flight from San Juan back to Miami is normally much more expensive than that anyhow, let alone a day or two before Thanksgiving. So Tuesday morning, they shuttle everybody off the ship, and were told by lots of reports that there was an extreme lack of communication from Norwegian. So eventually everybody got to the airport, but it took several days, including all the way up to Thanksgiving Day and Thanksgiving night, to start getting people back to Miami. So from their dream vacation to an absolute nightmare of sitting around, sleeping in the airports, we're told that the elderly and children had to literally carry their own luggage from the cruise ship. to wait for days on airport chairs and sleeping on airport floors to find their way home. Now, the ship did sail back to Miami without the passengers and only the crew on board. Now, while the Norwegian did say that the Jade was never endangering passengers and passengers were never in danger during this, they were certainly not invited to stay on board the ship while it sailed back to Miami. So now the Jade is back in Miami, and they have announced that their next sailing, which is scheduled to depart on the 26th, will be delayed a day in leaving Miami while they're still fixing the ship. Now, guests that are expected to get on board that sailing are still welcome to board on the 26th, but it will act as just a hotel. You'll be staying there overnight, and they will depart on the 27th. Guests will receive a portion of their cruise back for missing that first day at sea, as well as the itinerary is going to be slightly adjusted. So let's talk about what Norwegian did right and what Norwegian did wrong. Well, I have to say, as an experienced cruiser, I think Norwegian did this all wrong. Let me tell you about an experience I had on board a Carnival ship several years ago. My wife and I were sailing out of New Orleans. And when you sail from New Orleans to Mexico, you've got to sail down the Mississippi River about 5 hours before you hit the Gulf of Mexico. Then you travel through the Gulf of Mexico, through the opening, and you're in the Mexico environment. So we took our cruise. We knew there was going to be a hurricane coming, but we knew it was also several days beyond what our cruise should have been. So we did our Mexico vacation. We stopped at all of our ports and we're headed back to New Orleans, and we knew the hurricane was about a day behind us. So we sail into the port of Mexico, or the Gulf of Mexico rather, and that's when we get the call from the captain. And the captain informs us that the Mississippi River, in preparation for the hurricane, has stopped all marine traffic. So we can't sail back to New Orleans, and now we're already in the Gulf of Mexico, and the hurricane is right at the opening of the Gulf, so there's no way to sail back out. Well, we spent several extra days at sea while the hurricane literally went right over top of us. We were like a cork bottling in the ocean. I got to tell you, it was one of the most fun cruises we've ever had, but when we did get back to New Orleans, it was kind of hectic for people because now everybody had missed their flights home because we were at sea extra, and they didn't really know what they were going to do. In my opinion, Carnival handled it fantastically. What they did was they allowed everybody who was on the ship to remain on the ship once we arrived back to New Orleans for a couple of days so that we could make arrangements to fly back home. They literally turned the ship into a New Orleans hotel for us all to stay on. And folks that were supposed to get on the ship, Carnival put up in hotels around New Orleans since hotel rooms are rather abundant. You know, when you're in Miami or New Orleans or one of the cruise cities, it's pretty easy for the cruise line to find hotels for their passengers. Well, Norwegian decided to go the other way around. Rather than keep people back on board and slowly sailing back to Miami, they literally kicked them off their ship to find their own way back or wait for charter planes that Norwegian was going to charter and then bring them back to Miami and setting them free on their own. I really think Norwegian dropped the ball on this. It would have been a lot better for Norwegian to turn that ship at least into a hotel at San Juan for several days and then have people for the next cruise put them up in hotels around Miami because it's going to be much easier for them to find hotels than the people you're literally booting off the ship in the middle of the Caribbean. So Norwegian, you really dropped the ball in my opinion. You really should have just turned that cruise ship into a hotel until every last passenger was able to get on your charter flights back home. But let me know what you think, guys. This is just what happened on the Norwegian last week rather. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Let me know if you think I'm wrong, if I'm off base. Let me know how you would have handled it if you were Norwegian Cruise Lines, and we'll see you on board your next trip.